Hey guys, your real estate pros here with Janelle Ferrer and Waypoint Realty.
And Race Robinson with Mid-Florida Mortgage Professionals.
So today we want to talk a little bit about how to go from renter to homeowner. So we've talked a lot about different processes, but we still haven't quite nailed this one. So we wanted to give you guys 7 tips on how to go ahead and go about purchasing a home. So tip number 1 that we wanted to talk about in the process is don't bust your budget. So one of the first things you do when you jump on Zillow or Realtor.com or Trulia or any of the websites out there that we know that you guys are all checking out is that you guys start looking for homes. How do you know what price to be looking for? Are you guesstimating? Are you looking to see, well, this is the style of house the house you kind of like? The problem is that most of the time, the house that you love is way over what you can afford. So one of the first things you want to do is talk to a professional like Race and see, let's get qualified. So when I say don't bust your budget, it's when he tells you exactly what you're qualified for, so he's going to explain that a little bit, you don't want to go beyond that because what can happen?
Well, the main thing is you do got to qualify for whatever payment that you want. I think the thing that buyers struggle with, especially first-time home buyers, is the idea that you're buying a home for the long term. And you do have to have a range of budget, but one of the things I see over the years is I'll talk to buyers and they're like, man, for $100 more a month, we could have really got the house we wanted. Yeah. So first is understanding how much you qualify up to, and then really kind of figuring out, okay, for the house I really like, what is the max that I am willing to spend, and kind of get that number in your head. And
that's a really good point. And you want to make sure that if you do want to go a little bit higher, that you feel comfortable with that.
Right.
Because many times people are like, well, I know we can go to 300,000. I don't feel comfortable with that. I'd like to stay at 250,000. So that's something that just tell your lender and tell your realtor, your real estate agent, because they're the professionals that are going to help you make sure that you get exactly what you want, and you don't feel too stretched on the budget. Right. There's nothing worse than getting into a house, seeing that first mortgage payment and saying, what did we get ourselves into? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is don't forget about the added costs. I can't tell you how many times I've had.
It's not free to move.
What? Free? I wish. Oh my gosh, that doesn't even include like the moving truck and furniture and all that. That's a side note. But I can't tell you how many times I've had clients that they're ready to buy their house and they're like, oh yeah, but here's our down payment, so we're good. We have nothing to bring towards closing except, the rest of the down payment. And wrong. There are closing costs. And again, when you speak to your lender, you'll be able to get
an idea what your actual cash to close is going to be, which you do want to know because you might need help from the seller.
Correct.
We might be increasing your payment a little and building it into the financing. So up front, you want to get a very clear picture of how much you can get from gifts, or we can help you pull money from retirement accounts and other things. Just whatever that is, that'll let us help you know where you should be.
And lenders will absolutely help you, and you give a good faith estimate, and that kind of gives people an idea of what to come to.
Technically called a loan estimate.
Thank
You're
you.
dating yourself.
Estimate.
A good faith estimate is that.
I know, and I will call it for a while. The loan estimate. So it's going to tell you what to come to closing with. That's a really important number. Now, what is the percentage that you can be off on that? It's give or take.
On the loan estimate? Well, on the loan estimate, that's more for the CD, the closing disclosure. Okay. But the loan estimate that we would give you during the pre-qualified process, which is a lot of times you don't have a house picked out yet.
Right.
Those tolerances don't exist. But you bring up a good point, which is $300,000 houses could have 3 different payments because the taxes could be higher, the HOA.
Right.
So it is a little bit of a moving target. So I usually tell people you're pre-approved for, depending on what you're trying to keep your payment around, between $280 and $300, depending on the house.
And that's a great point that I wanted to kind of say real quick. I've had buyers that have qualified for a house over another property just because of taxes and HOA. That plays a huge role in how much you're going to be paying per month. So keep that in mind as you look for homes in associations or deed restricted communities. So that's definitely something to consider. Again, share that with your lender. Let them know your concerns. We're communicating.
Tell us all your secrets. We're going to find out anyway.
And we'd rather sooner rather than later because it's to help you. So the lender will definitely be communicating with your real estate professional and vice versa to make sure what can they come to closing with? What do they need? Do we need to negotiate seller concessions? Those are things that we need to know so that we can help you get into your house without feeling like you're strangling for cash at the very last minute when it comes to closing or on your monthly payments.
Good advice.
So tip number 3. Listen to us. Listen to the professionals that you're working with. We're here to help you. We want to see you get into your home. We want you to see you with a monthly payment that you're going to feel excited about, that you're going to feel comfortable with, and that your family is going to love the home that you're in. Again, being open with your lender, being open with your real estate professional is only going to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's jump in tip number 4. Try to put a higher down payment down. There's multiple reasons this can help you. But one is it's automatic equity in your home. You know, it's less money that you have to later on try to pull out if you're going to sell your home. So it's already money built in. The second thing, I'm sure he can add to this, is your PMI. You know, if you have a conventional loan, you'll get rid of PMI a lot sooner if you get to that 20%.
Yeah.
Now, anything less than that, it's going to take you a lot longer. So the higher you can put down, the better.
And the thing I'd add to that for first-time home buyers is if you know, a lot of times the issue is the down payment. For a lot of first-time home buyers, they're saving up a down payment for their first home. Is trying to get to at least a 5% down so you can go conventional because in this market, conventional offers tend to get favor over FHA offers, and even though FHA is a great loan, really it just makes your offer that much stronger. So that's kind of the first hurdle, is try to get to that 5% down mark, which is a conventional loan.
Absolutely. Great point. So we move on to number 5. Don't neglect to get everything in writing. This is every detail. If you see something in a house that is not fixed to the home, request it. Even if it's a children's playground that you really like in the back. Chances are the seller is probably going to leave that there because it's a pain to take out of the property. However, you never know. Because what if they decide to have a nice bonfire and they just take the axe to it right before closing, and you really wanted that for your children? That's something that you definitely want to put in writing. The coolest, weirdest thing I've ever put on a contract was a kegerator, and it was actually in the back patio. It was pretty cool, and I was like, you don't want to buy a kegerator if it's right there. So that was something we put in the contract. That sellers had no problem with it. They weren't planning on taking it, but you never know. You want to make sure that you put everything in writing. Everything. Okay, so as much as you can that you know it's not fixed to the property. If it's fixed to the property, it's yours, according to the contract, as it is in the FAR bar contract. Yep. Other than that, ask your real estate professional to put it in the contract, okay? So if you really like something, put it in there. Number 6, don't skip the inspection. This is something really important. A lot of times buyers think or assume that that's for the lender. It's not. What the lender needs is the appraisal, the survey, and a few other things that they probably go over with the underwriters. The inspection is the buyer's protection. It's your peace of mind. It's for your comfort. Now, I always give this caveat. Inspectors are meant to scare the heck out of you. I don't know why.
Switch the light switches and change the light bulb.
I know. And it's like in red sometimes, and you're like, guys, it's like 25 cents at Home Depot. It's okay. But
that's what you want.
Yeah, you want that. You're paying an inspector to give you a list of every single possible thing that is either wrong with the property or just needs to be repaired, or is something that could be done in the future but something to be aware of now. You want that on a report. So inspections vary based on your square footage and the house property and, you know, the size of the property, etc. So there's some great inspectors that will definitely, they'll go under, they'll go into your attic, they'll go into your house, they'll do the whole thing. Now there's additional inspection reports, which we could talk about at a later date, and we can actually invite an inspector to come and talk about that.
Good idea, yeah.
And so they do 4-point inspections and all these other things. Some of those are for insurance, but you definitely don't want to skip out on the inspection. So, so that's something that's a really, really big deal. Is there anything you want to add on the inspection?
Just that once you go to contract, don't waste time on the inspection, because we like to order the appraisal after the inspection.
Great point.
And it gives you more time, the realtor, if something does come up on the inspection, to renegotiate that and still try to make the closing date.
Yeah.
Where if you're at the very end of your inspection period and then something comes up and we stop the loan, and you know, because things do come up on an inspection, and most of the time, you know, some of the time the sellers, you know, work it out or whatever, but it just gives you that time and where we can still keep the timeline if those issues come out.
Great point. So something I want to add to that. You make it a long list of things that the inspector found. Now, as a buyer, if you want to lose the property, please ask for every single thing on that inspection report to be fixed, repaired, and adjusted. You'll lose the contract. But really take heed of AC, roof, any major things, leaking, a possible mold, anything you see like that. I mean, I've negotiated, I think it was I think it was $8,000 recently on electrical work to get a new electrical panel and rewire a big portion of the house. Plumbing, you know, polybutylene plumbing, anything like that, to make sure that you guys are negotiating that. Now, myself as a professional, in order to give the best service to my clients, as soon as we sign an executed contract, they get an email immediately with the executed contract, with the name of a couple inspectors that I recommend. I CC the lender that we're working with the executed contract so they can get that underway, and I say get that inspection immediately so that we can do that a day to 3 days out of the executed contract. And then that means if we've got a 10 or a 15-day window for inspection, we're done within 5 days, negotiated, all the repairs and everything, and we're good to go. That's what you want to see, because that's what he's talking about. Everything else gets delayed because that inspection period is your way out of a contract.
Yep.
So, and it's for any reason whatsoever. You don't even have to tell the seller why. If there's something that came up on inspection, unless you want it repaired, they don't need to know. That's yours. You purchased that report. So, the last one, number 7. Don't do immediate renovations when you have finally purchased your home, because things change. Live in your home a little bit, unless it's like the flooring is absolutely horrendous and you're like, I need to rip up that carpet now. But if you're talking about gutting down things and looking at things, take your time. It took us 3 years when we bought our home to renovate, not because I wanted to, but my husband doesn't like to do things immediately. I'm the impulsive one. So I'm sure that people out there have one or the other that's that way. But I'm so glad we did, because even the styles, things changed, and when we finally finished our renovations, we did everything at once. But it was great, and I was able to see what were the things in my house that I really liked and that I enjoyed, and other things that I was like, you know what, this has got to go. We're knocking down this entire wall.
I think of that.
So enjoy your home a little bit, get a feel for the things that you would like to remodel, and it'll actually save you money in the long run, as opposed to making immediate renovations, living and say, why did we do this? And then spending a ton of money.
Except put in a pool fast so we can come to the pool party when it's done.
That's right, and invite us there. But those are your 7 tips for going from a renter to a home buyer. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, anytime, feel free to contact us. Janelle Ferrer with Waypoint Realty.
And Grace Robinson with Mid-Florida Mortgage Professionals.
And we are your real estate pros. You guys have a great rest of the day.
All right, bye.
Bye.